Welcome to 27th Letters Podcast. Today we have a special guest, Tre Mission. By the way, my name is Landry Oniginde Bay. And yes, Tre Mission is one of the, what I would say, you're one of the HNIC of the grime scene, no? No?
I wouldn't say that.
No?
No, I wouldn't say that.
At least for out here.
Well, there's not a scene out here to be.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, it's you. Like, you rep that. That's because when you went out there doing your thing in London, you know what I mean?
But you know what though? I do so much. I do so much that, and I'm so musical that there's a lot of people that complain about how little I actually do rep. That I should be more grimy and that I should be, But music for me started before grime started as a thing, period. And before I found out about it. Way before I found out about it,
Okay, before we get that far, let's sometimes one of the people I interview is Cabra Richards.
Yeah.
And I sent him the video just to get some critique. And the last time he's like, yo, when you start your show, get right into the questions. And I did it again.
Yeah.
Fucked up, Cabby. I'm just like having conversation. You know what I mean?
Right.
So, but the way I start off my the question in my line of question is usually no one can start their story without their mother's story.
Yeah.
So I usually say, who's your mother? And then we go on from there to how your upbringing and whatnot. So let's start with, that's life as you remember who's your mother and where were you born and so on and so forth.
Well, my mom came here in the late 70s from Trinidad.
Okay.
Right? And my dad came here in the late 80s.
Okay.
So, but my dad's from Jamaica.
Okay.
Right? So it's funny because I only recently found out. I knew that on my grandpa's side in Trinidad, I knew that his people came from Venezuela and also Calcutta. And then, so they look a little different from how my grandma's side looks. So that was like the explanation that I got or whatever. And my last name is Karambokis, right? It's a big name in Trinidad. So as far as just, we have so much family and we have important people in our family, and the families that are related to us is all neatly traced. The Laras and other stuff.
So you know the family tree.
Yeah. So I knew the explanation for the Karambokis side. So my grandma's side of the family, their name is Samuel. And I just found out that they really come from St. Vincent, where my grandma was a first generation Trini.
Okay.
Right? So, and the Karambokis family, they come from more kind of the country, a place called Santa Cruz. And I found out, and I knew because some of them lived there, but I found out my grandma's side of the family, they're more town people, like in the city in Port of Spain. So my grandpa's a musician and everything. So my mom was a musician growing up.
Okay.
And my mom too was like into like British rock and stuff when she was a teenager.
Okay.
So her musical palette
on the island.
This is when she come to Canada. So when she came to Canada, they moved to Don Mills. My family, that's where we come from. Everyone in my family.
I know you rep it.
Don Mills.
Don Mills.
All I know my whole life. That's where we've been. So
okay.
And
there's a couple of bands that I know from there.
Yeah. The man, them all tell me. They all tell me. But my dad was from Jamaica, but he's a Cataraqui man.
Okay.
That was his. He's one of the man them that started that whole thing out there, Block 15, all of that.
Okay.
You go around there, you ask people about Chucky, and they'll tell you, So,
might know him too.
So for me, that was like
I was out around Teesdale.
Yeah,
that's right across the bridge.
It was in the 90s too. So then he was out there.
Did he play ball?
No. My dad is a real yard man. He only come here in the late 80s, So I don't even know if my dad plays soccer. But
okay.
Yeah, so that was my mom was like super into music, and that just kind of rubbed off onto me when I was a kid,
Okay. So they met here, right?
Yeah, they met here.
How did they meet? Do you know that story?
I do. Because my dad first came here to work in like Calgary and rural places, like
on the farms.
Mm-hmm. And when he's on the farm,
which is still being done.
Which is still what's going on. You go up north, you'll see them at the Tim
all
Hortons
the time.
and shit,
I see them.
So my pops, he was on a farm and there's other Jamaican people and they're telling him, yo, come, we could go hustle up a thing in Toronto and let's go out there. There's a place that my cousins live, must have been something like that. You know, when people link up. So my dad ends up in Cataraqui. So my mom lived in Cataraqui at the time. That was like one of her first places outside of her mom's house. You know, her and my aunt Sandra. So from there, that's where they met at a party in the neighborhood. You know, my mom lived on Layton, to be exact. If you know about Cataraqui, you know about Layton. Fur Valley and all of these places.
Right by the station.
Yeah, so my mom lived right there in Layton. So then, that's how they met, in a party. Oh, just, you know, black people shit, like, you know, young people, you know,
it's crazy.
culture,
I just had Danny O, like, you know, it's on our page there. I just had Danny O, and he's tell me about his parents, and it's pretty much the same thing, you know.
That's the old Toronto story.
You know what I mean? That's pretty much the same story. Yeah. You know, it's like, it's crazy. So they met, got married. Was like, how long?
They never got married, but they maybe would have. But my dad ended up getting dipped when I was young. You know.
So how many children did your mom have with your dad?
One. I'm my mom's only child. Yeah. So my dad has other kids, but
so your mom got pregnant and then you were born.
Yeah.
And then how long before
he got dipped? Less than 6 years.
So you had a couple of years with him though.
Couple that I barely remember. You know what I mean?
Okay.
But as I got older,
you don't have like any early memories of him distinctively, like of who he is, type of character, you know?
Well, the thing is, I'm trying to tell this part as quick as possible too. But for a while, we lost contact with my dad after he got deported. So, you know, back then there wasn't no social media or nothing. So it's like if you lose someone's number and they move, you're not really finding them, you know? So that was kind of what happened. My dad moving around and, you know, trying to make it happen in Jamaica. I guess it was just hectic. And we ended up losing contact with him. But a woman that we know from the area, she was in a party in Jamaica. She went back to Jamaica one day for vacation, and she met my dad in a dance by chance, and he said, yo, look at my baby mother, you know what I mean? And she said, what? That's Trayvon and Halcyon. So she made the link back and we got the number and everything. You know, it's crazy how things happen.
Crazy.
So then when I'm a teenager, early teenage years, I started talking to him on the phone and stuff.
So years have gone by. So at this point, what did you think was going on with your dad? Like,
I knew.
So you knew the story.
Yeah, no one hid it from me. Yeah, no one hid it from me.
Did you ever try to, did you ever think to yourself, like, you'd want to go there and look for him?
Yeah. I always, it's crazy because I always had that thought in my mind of like, even though I didn't remember him, I always had this like feeling inside of me of like, I was completely against anyone replacing my dad, you know? So people in my family that were just trying to be supportive and trying to be, you know, fill that void, I would just push back against it, you know? And,
so the male role models, you didn't want, you like, yo, I got my dad, like, you didn't have any male
My thing was more, I don't got my dad, and I'm fine with that. You know what I'm saying? So, but what it was as well was that if I wanted a dad only if it was my actual dad. I was just against it. Something about it just made me feel weird. You know, like
it's like if it ain't him, you don't want nothing.
Yeah, I remember one time it was like Father's Day, and you know they do stuff for the kids on Father's Day. All the dads come in and stuff, and my godfather was gonna come in instead.
How old were you at that point?
I was like grade 2, 7, maybe. And I remember just being really upset about the fact that I was going there with someone that wasn't my dad, even though I love my godfather to death and he did a lot for me.
But you just know the fact is.
Yeah. I'm not, because I was a kid, but I was very aware of stuff. And I'm just like, I don't want that sympathy. Like, it's just, you know?
You don't like role playing.
Yeah.
Role play. We're not role playing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel that. So, so you started talking to him again?
Yeah, so I started talking to him again, and then as I got a little older, as I got to like 18, around that time, 19, and life is getting a little bit more real.
So did you see him? Did you go out to see him? At this
time I hadn't. So as I'm getting older now, getting to 18 and stuff, and life is getting a little bit more real.